big and mean and tough.
Yeah, he was every bit of that when they went against Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert. I want you to share some of the joy of that little scrap. Take a look.
That he was going to be here tonight, but he hadn't shown up yet.
Oh, man, come on, Brian.
I know it. He is going to be here. He was supposed to fly in. He was supposed to be here at 7:45.
Partner's here, boy. Looks like it might be a little 201 tonight, huh?
Well, the action got started in a hurry. The Moondog comes flying in when it looked like Brian was going to be in there in a match 1-on-2, and all of a sudden he hit it. Oh, here comes Dream Machine. So the odds swing. The referee called for the bell. That's going to be a disqualification. But there weren't any rules being obeyed anyhow. Now they've got Moondog Spot, and they're trying to handcuff him, and they did. Handcuffed him to the ring over there. So there's 3-on-1, which is the way they like the odds with Brian Christopher. Dream Machine came roaring in. Really swung the odds. They've got a rope stretched around the neck of Brian Christopher. Referee Kevin Christian knocked on his back by Doug Gilbert. All three of them taking turns at taking shots at Brian. Here comes the Colorado kid, Frank Morrell. Frank Morrell being hammered. Colorado kid down. Remember, Moondog Spot is handcuffed to the lower rope. He's trying to do what he can do, but he can't reach anything. Here comes J.C. Ice after Tommy Rich. He throws him over the top rope. Colorado Kid goes out on the floor. Randy Hales comes out. Brian Christopher with that rope around his neck, trying to fight his way back. Dream Machine lays out the two referees, kicks the Colorado Kid out of the ring. Eddie Marlin comes out, and Christopher being dragged by that rope. They're hanging him over here on the edge. He's caught on the edge of the ring. He's being choked while Dream, Rich, and Gilbert. Randy Hales being kicked on by Doug Gilbert. Absolutely disgraceful.
Completely out of hand, and I hate to see this kind of stuff, man. The
Moondog is loose. Eddie Gilbert, Eddie Marlin rather, ended up with a key getting him loose, and he chased out Rich and Gilbert as to tell you, thugs. That's all you can say about it when they pull stuff like that in there. And again, I want you to note, they had Moondog Spot handcuffed to the rope, and they ended up with 3-on-1 because that's just exactly the way they like it. Here was a guy who had to suffer through all of that abuse with that rope around his neck, and he really had a bad, bad night. Brian Christopher, what a terrible experience with those thugs.
How you doing, Lance? And it was a terrible experience, you know. As you probably know, and as probably all these fans and everybody at home, I've been wrestling for about 4 years now. And in the 4 years I've been wrestling, never, not one time has something like what happened to me last week, has it ever happened to me. Not once, Lance. You know, last week I come out here, and in the same very spot that I'm standing, I came out here, and every time I showed my face, the Dream Machine, Tommy Rich, and Doug Gilbert came out here and attacked me 3-on-1.
Absolutely.
And everybody saw that they threw me in the ring here, and they took that table in there. They pile-drived me on the table. They DDT'd me on the table. They did everything they could until I had to be carried out here by some of my friends. And then, Lance, then I bring a mystery partner down there a couple of days later to the Mid-South Coliseum, and we had the Dream Machine, and we had Doug Gilbert, and me and the Moondog, we had things going our way. Up until when they came out there with a pair of handcuffs. And then they handcuffed the Moondog.
Right.
And then, Lance, then they took a rope. They tied it around my head, around my neck like everybody saw. And not only did they try to hurt me, not only did they try to end my career, but you know what they tried to do, Lance.
Yeah, no
question. And everybody knows. I know what they tried to do. Then, Lance, when I made it back to the dressing room, when my friends came out there and saved me again, I made it back to the dressing room, and I'm sitting there, and Eddie Marlin came back there to me, and he shut the door. And he said to me, you know, Brian, I've been thinking. After everything that's happened to you this past week, I've been thinking that it's really time for you to think about taking some time off. Maybe not wrestling for, you know, a short period of time, whatever it takes. And Lance, I've been thinking myself, and I've talked to a few of the fans, and I've talked to some of my friends, and I'm here to tell you that I told Eddie Marlin no. I told him I wasn't taking any time off.
All right, Doug. Nobody asked you.
I've been wrestling for 4 years. I never said I wouldn't wrestle anybody. Well, look, Brian Christopher, do you see this? You probably...
You've been told and told and told, don't come out here and interfere in this TV program again. Now get out of here.
I've got no intentions of interfering anymore. I just want to talk to Mr. Sissy Boy. I'm not going to touch him. What my letter says is provoking. I'm not provoking anything. All I want
You
to...
better read the last line of that letter in there about revoking the...
I've read the last line. Oh, don't be bad. You keep your vest on. Hey, you hold it anymore. I'm not touching nobody. Brian Christopher, what you did after we about beat you to death last week, you run to old Eddie Marlin. You run to the promotion. See, we're not scared of you. I would never turn my back on nobody I'm scared of. Give me this...
Whoa, Christopher tagged him. Brian Christopher just jumped from behind with Tommy Gilbert. Eddie Marlin trying to get in there and get them separated out. He came out here for one reason, and I don't care. You can say that it was Brian Christopher's fault for slapping him, but if Gilbert is there, here comes the king! He knows Gilbert and Rich. Jerry Lawler and Brian Christopher back to back with Gilbert and Rich. And take a look at 2-on-2. Oh, yeah, you know, here comes the Dream Machine. They got to change the odds. Always got to have the favorite. See if we can get some more help out here and get this thing busted up. They're busting things up all right, Dave. I got to tell you, this is is getting to be a mouthful. Doug Gilbert watched Christopher look at the Dream Machine. 2-on-2, yes. Here comes the Dream to change the entire complexion of it.
Dream has just kicked the referee out of the ring. Dream Machine, where are those broken ribs he's been out here complaining about for the last 6 weeks?
He keeps saying he wants to wrestle, but they won't let him wrestle. He can't get a medical clearance on it. Doesn't seem to be slowing him down right now as Gilbert is holding Lawler. Oh, look at here. Brian Christopher found him something and may even it up. There you go. One
You
again.
say they
3-on-2.
provoked us.
Yeah, it provoked you. You
I
can't.
wish I wasn't hurt.
We saw exactly, there's no way they're going to blame that on Brian Christopher. We saw exactly what happened. If Doug Gilbert hadn't come out here running his mouth and then wadded up the ladder and thrown it at Brian, Brian never would have knocked him down.
Yeah, it looks like provoking to me. Jerry Lawler, Brian Christopher found a equalizer as Brian got a hold of that boot and settled things down. But it's another typical example of the way they like to do it. They like to get the odds going in their favor. Timeout. We'll be back to get things straight here in a minute.